it's the time for us to sit meditation, cultivate our hearts, to bring them to peace. And so today it's the 6th of December 2021. So as we're meditating, we have dana, cultivating dana, generosity, cultivating sila, virtue as well, along with samadhi and wisdom. And so dana, it's giving. And what we're doing is we're sacrificing the happiness, the ease that we would otherwise be getting, and that we normally get from delighting in the various things of the world. But we have to sacrifice that, we have to give that up in order to train ourselves in samadhi. And while we are cultivating samadhi, then we also have this composure over our body and speech, and that within itself is sila, is virtue. We also need effort, we need to try, we need to put our hearts into it, because the Dhamma that we're trying to reach is that which will allow us to succeed, to attain. And if we're going to succeed in worldly things or in the Dhamma, then we need to set our hearts on it, we need to be sincere. And so there's this Pali word, chanda, which you could translate as desire, a kind of wholesome desire or a sense of pleasure. And what that's referring to, it's not any kind of ordinary desire, but it's very high, it's great. And so if we have a sense of pleasure or a sense of liking in what we're doing, then we can do that and we can succeed in it. Like sculpting a Buddha image, and perhaps we've never done that before, but if we get that feeling that it's something that we want to do, that we want to sculpt something beautiful, we have sincerity in that, we have that pleasure, that liking or that desire, then we can do it happily. And so this applies for other things we may do, other activities or other bits of work. But what's quite difficult is to bring up this sense of desire, wholesome desire or pleasure in the practice. And what we have to do when we're practicing is go against the flow, the current of the world, which is this current of ignorance, craving and clinging. And so we have to have that desire in order to do that. And is it difficult? Well, it is a bit difficult, and especially so for those beginning in the practice. Because in cultivating samadhi we need to have effort, we need to have this sincerity, and sometimes we get fed up with it. Perhaps we start feeling depressed, or the mind gets all scattered, or we feel inner aggravation, annoyed in our hearts. But when it comes time to chant, to sit in meditation, and we don't feel like doing it, then we need to force ourselves to do it. But when we have this sense of desire or pleasure, and it's really sincere, then we won't get bored. We won't be bored with chanting. And that's just what happens when people have this sense. And instead they do it with happiness, they do it with a fullness of heart. And so it's the same for people who offer food to the monks in the morning. They cultivate dana in this way. And they can wake up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. in order to start cooking. They're able to do that because of this chanda. And so we should bring up this sense of chanda, of this pleasure, within our practice as well, and training our hearts in this way. It's something that we can do. We can bring this up. And so in the beginning we need to try and cultivate this quality. Because if we don't do this, if we don't train our minds, and we don't bring up skillful qualities, and then we'll just leave this world without gaining any benefit. Because all the things of this world, they're just temporary, they don't last. And we need to understand that we're traveling a very long distance, and we don't stay on in this world. We need to carry on traveling and carry on going in the cycle of samsara. So we should try to bring up as much goodness, to cultivate as much goodness as we can do. And so the virtue that we've developed well, the great benefit that comes from that is samadhi. And then the samadhi that we've trained in well, this results in wisdom. And the wisdom that we've cultivated well, this brings us a mind which is freed from the asavas, from the outflows. And so therefore, the fact that we are coming together, training in samadhi like this shows that we've got a lot of merit, and we've cultivated this kind of goodness to have this fortune. And so now, being the time to sit in meditation, we should put down all concerns and put down all sense impressions, any work that we've had to do, any thoughts about anything outside. We just lay that all aside for now. And we need to have our mindfulness here in the present moment. And so we can bring it to this breath, the in-breath, the out-breath. And we can use the word Buddha alongside that, on the in-breath Buddha, the out-breath Do. But if while we're watching the breath, it feels very cramped, then we can try counting alongside the breath instead. Count quickly. So on the in-breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On the out-breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so all of these methods of practice, they all require this mindfulness here in the present moment. Because when we have mindfulness here, then the mind will settle down, become peaceful, and then wisdom can arise. And this wisdom, panya, it's gaining a knowledge in line with reality, in line with truth. And that's something that we do need to train in order to gain. So may all of you set your hearts on this.